Hello and welcome to News in Depth here on TVP World with me, Ashim Kumar. As we begin tonight, Japan has already entered 2026. Tonight, we take a look at how that country marks the new year, one of the country's most important and distinctive holidays. Joining us is TVP World international correspondent Gabriela Fesnak, who'll guide us through how New Year's Eve and New Year's Day are celebrated, what visitors often find surprising, and why the country continues to captivate international travellers. From customs and cuisine to the atmosphere of the season, we take a short cultural journey for curious global audiences. Gabby, welcome and great to see you back.
Thank you for having me, Ashim.
It's a pleasure. Listen, lots I want to ask you about, but before we kick off, there's a short video I'd like to share with the audience and I'll get your view on it. Should be coming up. There we go. So those are the fireworks that went off, gosh, only a few minutes ago. Sorry?
Sorry, no, in Yokohama.
In Yokohama? They're in Yokohama, okay. So, but I assume this is happening in all the big cities and probably towns around the country, yes?
So actually fireworks are a big tradition in Japan, and Yokohama has one of the biggest fireworks displays. So I'm assuming this one is probably the biggest for the entire Kanto area.
Looks gorgeous, looks absolutely fine. So give us a big picture view, Gabby. What are the main differences in the way that we celebrate New Year's here in Europe and it's done in Japan?
So one of the main differences for the whole holiday period is that in Japan, they start with Christmas not in the way that we would start with a family tradition. Christmas is more of a romantic holiday that you will spend with your partner. And one of the main Christmas traditions is that Japanese people eat a KFC bucket of chicken.
Sorry, what? Say that again?
A bucket of chicken from KFC.
KFC at
yes.
Christmas, okay.
Yeah, so this
as a tradition.
Yeah, it started in the 1970s, and there's an urban legend that the manager of the first KFC that was ever opened in Japan heard some foreigners complaining that there is no turkey and they can't have turkey. So he started having this kind of like big Christmas bucket of turkey or chicken wings. And that's how it slowly became a tradition. And even now, I think about 10% of KFC's daily sales are happening on Christmas Day.
Oh, wow, that's absolutely fascinating. You can just imagine a bucket of KFC on the Christmas table. What else do they do at Christmas time that's different?
So for starters, it's a holiday that you will spend with your loved one, not your loved ones. So It's going to be your boyfriend, your girlfriend, your wife, your husband. And it's basically a date that includes KFC.
Right.
And often a Christmas cake. And because it's Japan and characters are very popular, so the Christmas cake will often have Pokemon or Hello Kitty or some other character that we would not think of as a Christmassy thing.
So do they have a Father Christmas, a Santa Claus, a Christmas tree, that sort of stuff?
The imagery is there, and you will see a lot of Christmas trees and a lot of Santas all over Tokyo, all over Japan. But really, the Christian population in Japan is nothing compared to Poland. So it's more of a commercial holiday than it is a religious one. Okay.
So then we come to New Year's Eve, New Year's Day, and that's quite different also, isn't it?
Right. So New Year's is it's a family holiday. Of course, you will have some countdowns in the main cities like Tokyo, like Osaka, but it's not really the time to party and drink and champagne and so on. It's more of a thing that you do with your family. So a lot of Japanese people will spend the period between the 31st of December all the way until the 3rd of January with their families. And there is a whole series of different rites, rituals that would be observed. So for example, osoji, which is the very deep cleaning of the house. And the significance is that you're supposed to get rid of all the bad luck of the last year and all the unfinished business. And now that your house is deep clean, you can start anew. That's one of the main traditions.
Okay.
Another one would be eating mochi. You will have a rice cake. It's a special type of rice cake. There's basically two rice cakes, a small one and a large one. They're stuck on top of each other. There's often a tangerine on top. And you're supposed to eat it for longevity and as also an offering for the gods.
Okay, now this sounds like a fascinating kind of blend of the calendar that we use here, the Roman calendar, and traditional Japanese rituals. Is that accurate, do you think?
Yes, so there aren't really that many Western traditions on New Year's Eve. There definitely is a trip to the temple on the 1st, 2nd, or the 3rd of January. Japanese people will go to the temple with their family, maybe with their boyfriend or girlfriend, and pray for good fortune throughout the year. There's also another tradition of sending cards. Just as in Poland, in Europe, we used to, some people still do, but it's not that much of a habit anymore, send greetings for Christmas. In Japan, you send New Year's greetings.
Okay, all right, okay. So that's kind of taking shape now. Let me just ask you again about the calendar, because there's a lunar calendar as well which they follow. How does that kind of match up with the New Year's Eve dates that we recognize? So the lunar calendar and the solar calendar, the celebrations don't fall on the same period, obviously.
Right. So the lunar year will begin on the 1st of February. And the lunar year celebrations are much more focused on, basically, the Western New Year is also celebrating the new zodiac. So the year that we're just about to wave goodbye to is the year of the snake, and we're entering the year of the horse, which is why there is a lot of horse imagery all over Japan. You can buy basically anything from chocolates to clothing that has little horses on it as just a little charm.
So that's from the 1st of February?
Yes. Okay. No. So actually I was going to say that this will be already celebrated on New Year's, and then also during the Lunar New Year. It's a thing that...
Okay. It's a double celebration.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But then for the Lunar New Year, there is a very interesting tradition called ehomaki. So every year, a deity, or more specifically the priest that represents the specific deity, will decide which direction is the lucky direction, as in the direction that brings you...
north-south?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
The direction which brings you luck. And then on the first day of the lunar year, you're supposed to eat ehomaki, which is a sushi roll, a small sushi roll that you're supposed to eat all in one bite, and you have to be facing the lucky direction.
All right, okay. So when you say small sushi roll...
Well, it's maybe 7 to 9 centimeters long. So
okay, so it's not that small to have in one bite, is it?
But it is a challenge to fit it all in your mouth,
yeah.
But you have to if you want to be lucky.
Okay, so you've got to do that.
Yes.
I hope you don't choke on it, because that's not very lucky, is it really? And then does everyone have the same direction that they have to face?
Yes, it's the one lucky direction for the entire year. So I guess
for everybody.
Yes.
Okay. All right, and that happens on the 1st of February.
Yes, on the first day of the lunar calendar.
Okay, which is around.
Yeah, around that.
And then you also mentioned the solar calendar.
Yes.
What's the difference there? I mean, what in terms of dates?
So the solar calendar is, we will celebrate New Year's right now.
Okay.
Because of how the Earth circles the sun, and then we also have...
Right, so it's our calendar.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, I thought you meant a separate...
No.
Okay, so basically they get 2 bites of the cherry with New Year.
Yes.
Yeah, 1st of January and 1st of February.
They get to have 2 festivals and a lot of different celebrations twice.
Now, also, you talk about animals that are connected to various years. Many people will kind of associate that imagery with Chinese culture and traditions. Is it clearly something that's prevalent and usual in Japan as well?
Well, I would say it's rough. I don't want to risk insulting the entire culture,
right.
But it's roughly the same tradition. It's very similar.
Okay.
Just as, in the entirety of Europe, we share certain traditions during New Year's.
Well, Christmas.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it's based on roughly the same system of belief, and that's why it goes very much... I wouldn't say the same, but it's very similar in China, in Japan, and Korea.
Are they the same animals each year in each of those countries?
Yes.
They are.
Just as, you have an animal assigned to the year you were born,
right.
It basically goes the same. You only have one animal for each year, and all the countries agree on that.
And so 2026
is going to be the year of the horse.
The year of the horse.
And 25 is the year of the snake.
The snake. Yeah, which sounds a bit scary, doesn't it, really? I mean, I don't know. When you say the year of the horse, can you tell us a little bit about the significance of the animal?
So every zodiac animal has different qualities assigned to it. So just how like if you're curious about your horoscope, you can read what you're expected to be doing next week and so on, like
right.
the fortune. And in the same way, the year you were born, the animal you're assigned, in a way would determine what kind of characteristics you have. So the same way the year of the horse will bring in different fortunes, the year of the monkey will bring in different fortunes. It's just different every year, and because of that, people will sometimes make big decisions based on the predictions.
Okay. Now, the fascinating picture that you paint, and more people seem to be thinking that way because tourism numbers are going up towards Japan. Where are those tourists coming from? How many are from other islands across the archipelago, and how many are from outside Japan?
So the majority of tourists coming to Japan are obviously from the neighboring countries,
okay.
Especially because yen is rather weak the last couple of years. And because of that, going to Japan just became so much more affordable. In recent weeks, the number of Chinese tourists has declined because of a small diplomatic spat between China and Japan. But still, I would say that the Asian countries' tourists are the main group. But especially the main touristy areas, such as Tokyo, Osaka, Kyoto, you basically see groups of Western tourists on every corner.
Right. Okay. Western, you mean European, US?
Yes.
Okay, that's interesting. So perhaps those numbers are going up too. Now, in terms of preparation for this influx of tourists, what is Japan doing in for example, setting up tourist industries, travel industries within the country and so on, to show them, the different, huge historic culture?
So Japan is definitely changing to become more tourist friendly, and I can see the change just based on the last couple of years. When I first came to Japan, there were a lot of things, I didn't speak Japanese very well, and I was very confused because there were a lot of places where you wouldn't even have an English description, where the sign for the bathroom wouldn't even say men or women. And now there are so many more places that just direct you where to go. But a lot of it doesn't necessarily stem from the fact that Japan wants to be such a welcoming country. It often stems from the fact that the local population is just, the local residents are just getting really annoyed with the tourists disturbing them quite often.
And asking directions, where's the nearest public toilet or something.
That's one thing, but there's a famous family mart, a convenience store in Shibuya, which is nicknamed the Gaijin Mart. Gaijin is a word for a foreigner in Japan. It's become infamous because a couple of years ago, it would be Japanese people standing in front of it and drinking. But in recent years, you just have unruly tourists who are drinking and screaming, and just so many people are getting annoyed with that lately there are a lot of new legislations that are basically banishing the tourists from, or even people who just want to have a drink, from a lot of popular areas, just to make sure that nobody is disturbing the peace.
Okay, so they're kind of going through teething troubles, I suppose, with a burgeoning tourist industry. Now, you also attended the expo recently. What can you tell us about that experience?
So just before I talk about that, I just want to mention that the number of people coming to Japan is just, it's really, really high. On average, during the really popular seasons, you will have 3 million of people coming to Japan per month.
Per month?
Per month.
That's a serious number.
It's such a high number, and they are all concentrating in Tokyo, Kyoto, and Osaka. So it's just really difficult for people who live there on a regular basis. And even for the tourists themselves, they encounter a lot of issues because things are overbooked. There are a lot of very popular destinations, such as, for example, the Pokemon Cafe. I personally was only able to go there once during COVID. It's impossible to book it. And a lot of tourists don't have a very good experience because a lot of things that they wanted to do are just overbooked and they have no chance of getting there.
Right.
And such was the case with Expo. So in the span of 6 months, more than 29 million people visited Expo. And the tickets were sold out. So for the last couple of weeks, it was basically impossible to go there unless you were a ticket holder for, as a person who had some business at Expo.
Right.
It was impossible to get in.
Wow.
And the lines at Expo were also reaching 2-3 hours just to get into one pavilion. So a lot of Expo personnel, their job was basically just making sure that the visitors are hydrated and aren't fainting, because you would have to wait in scorching 39-degree sun.
So clearly an enormous level of interest in Japan and the culture. You know, a lot of Europeans think, you know, that, well, I'd love to visit, but it just seems so far away and so difficult to get to. I mean, things like visas, for example. How difficult would it be for a Polish person or an EU resident to get a visa for Japan?
So you only needed a visa for Japan during COVID, because during COVID, Japan completely closed its borders, and it was basically impossible to get in without a special visa. And now, basically anyone from the Western world, from Canada, from the US, and EU residents can get in without any visas. You just need to file some paperwork at the airport, and you are able to stay up to 90 days.
At the airport in Japan, you
Yes.
basically...
Well,
okay.
you just have to fill out a visitor's form so they know where to find you, because there is a problem with tourists overstaying their visas. So Japanese immigration is trying to know where the foreigners are, essentially.
Right.
And then after 90 days, you can leave and then come back for another 90 days. So you can essentially live up to half a year in Japan per year.
Right.
And yeah, there's just
So
no
very
problem with visa.
accessible.
Very accessible.
Easy to get there now, and cheaper, you know, considering the exchange rates on the currency.
Absolutely.
So, well, I know what's next on my bucket list. Gabby, thank you so much for sharing all of that with our audience.
Thank you
Have
for
a
having
wonderful
me.
2026.
You too, Ashim.
Thanks. That brings us to the end of this episode of News in Depth. Don't go away, though. Lots more coming up. Goodbye.